Star Wars fans, we have a new report that updates the Pedro Pascal Mandalorian drama story, and both confirms that the drama was indeed real, but also puts forward that that drama is all done and we're all good now. What's up, everybody? It's Josh. Welcome back to the channel. Smash that like button and let's get right into this report. Now, this video is going to be kind of interesting. We're going to have to go in a number of different directions. I want to first talk about the new report from LRM that, yes, confirms that Grace's initial report about the drama with Pedro Pascal was indeed true, but they also say that it's been worked out. So I want to talk about that report. Then I want to talk about what I think is actually going on. But again, with stories like this, I just like to remind everybody, I have zero sources. I am just some guy on the internet. I have no idea what I am talking about, and I will repeat that when we get to the speculation thing. All right, so let's read right here from LRMonline.com. Says, don't worry, fans, Pedro Pascal will be back as the Mandalorian. LRM top shelf rumor. And the article reads, there has been a story floating around that Pedro Pascal has either quit The Mandalorian or will only be doing ADR for the future seasons. A while back, Grace Randolph claimed that there was a behind-the-scenes dispute which led to Pedro Pascal walking off set, putting the future of The Mandalorian in jeopardy. Grace has used the quote from Jon Favreau in the Entertainment Weekly article, saying that the second half of the season will focus on a bigger story to defend her story. Some other outlets have even claimed that Pedro has quit the show. While it did seem crazy to think Pedro Pascal would leave the show, it was just crazy enough to be true. According to our source, Pedro Pascal will be wearing the Mandalorian suit for future seasons. From what we learned is that there was a dispute over creative differences while filming season 2, but it was resolved quickly. Filming anything Star Wars brings a ton of pressure, so the success of the first season has added additional pressure to deliver amazing content. Ultimately, you cannot expect to be filming a show like this and not have any issues. So Grace was right that there were some behind the scenes issues. Where we differ is her use of the Entertainment Weekly article. The concept of shifting the focus to more characters in the second half of the season was always a part of the plan. A while back, we covered that the goal was to create a wider Star Wars universe through the Disney Plus shows. Okay, a couple of interesting things in that article, and then I'm also going to talk about the things that I heard from my sources that don't exist because I have no sources. But here's the deal. I even said this, I believe, in the initial breakdown of this situation, that I actually did reach out to sources and they said, oh, this was definitely a thing. It definitely happened last year. But what a lot of people were telling me was that, oh, well, that was resolved. And I had some people say like, oh man, it's a shame that came out. And they were sort of talking about how, look, this just happens. It just happens. And I'm going to get into all that because I'm going to, look, at the end of this video, guys, I'm just going to tell you for real, what I think is going on, okay? But for now, let's just keep it, going this way. Let's continue to talk about what was reported, what LRM is saying, and then I'll tell you what I think is really going on. So again, I think it's very important to clarify here, Grace was right. She was not just making this up, and I know a lot of you are like, Grace Randolph, and of course there's the meme of me simping for Grace, my queen. But the reality is, man, if you're not paying attention enough to realize that Grace is not just full of crap and you're just listening to Twitter talking heads that tell you she is not, I don't know what to do for you, okay? So I tried to explain that she was likely accurate in this report, although the minutia of the situation she might be getting wrong. And to be fair, some of you might think she's getting it wrong on purpose in order to create more buzz or more conversations in the fandom, and that's fair. I can't disprove that. Maybe she is doing that, but that's not the same thing as saying she's not credible or has zero sources. Now, another important thing that this LRM article is saying is that the change halfway through the season was always in the plan. More or less what LRM is saying is that, yeah, this is definitely going to happen. You're going to see a massive shift in the middle of the season, and it's going to focus on different characters, and that was always the plan. And most important to all of you Star Wars fans out there that are, like, hey, well, what's the deal? Is he coming back or not? According to this article, it's all smoothed out. Pedro will continue to be the Mandalorian as we move forward. They're not going to break with this guy. There's still some kind of an ongoing battle with creative decisions and creative differences, but it seems like they've got it figured out. And just to add on to that, I did have sources reach out to me and say pretty much the same thing, where they were like, yes, it was true, but it did get resolved and it's all good now. But now take my hand and let's go to speculation town. Okay, guys, so here's my thing. Like, the trades or a particular reporter or a particular YouTuber or any kind of person, they can put a spin or a narrative on these types of issues. Now, I know there were people out there that had come out and taken the original story from Grace and spun it into a more fantastical version just to get a bunch of clicks. And you probably know exactly who I'm talking about. And as most of the time, like a 99.9% of the time, those people, those usual suspects, they have no idea what's actually going on. They just want to incite people, okay? And I hope you can tell the difference between the content we make over here and that kind of content. And I think the more you watch it, you'll understand. You'll be like, well, I may not always agree with what Josh is saying. I might think it's whack that he's bringing up this person because I've heard they're not credible, but Josh is at least doing his due diligence. So yeah, all that stuff was BS, guys, okay? All that stuff was BS. But here's my point. I think it's fair to say that you could spin a narrative depending on where you are at. And my personal opinion of the situation is that there's still big time power plays going on, okay? So as an example, we know there were creative differences during the filming of season 2. We know that Pedro Pascal wanted to be seen face-wise more with the helmet off in season 2, okay? And from what we've been told, that is still a big sticking point on the season. But if there were creative differences and Pedro wanted to be seen more, then wouldn't it also make sense that he would be unhappy with the turn that the show is taking in the back half of the season? Wouldn't it make sense that Pedro didn't like that? And wouldn't it also make sense that if you're Jon Favreau and you're Dave Filoni and Pedro Pascal is being difficult on set, and you take your story in a direction that more or less leaves him a little bit behind, don't you think that could still be a power play? Like basically what I postulated when this story originally came out was that it's likely that Favreau is playing a game of chicken with Pedro, and he wants to make this season work to then show Pedro that, like, hey man, the back half of the season people loved, and you know, we didn't really have you in there that much, and so hey man, you better just suit up, helmet on, this is the way, let's get back to it. And maybe that is the play from Favreau. And there's also a potential play here with like Kathleen Kennedy and her backing Pedro and that kind of a conflict. There's a lot of evidence to suggest that Lucasfilm is currently going through a big ideological battle with, you know, some people. I don't necessarily want to get into all of that, but what I'm saying to you is there's the first report, there's all these other reports, then there's the new LRM report. And when you look at all this stuff, well, what are the underlining principal activities? Like what was actually real in all of them? Creative difference with Pedro. This is him wanting to be seen more, him actually making things pretty difficult for creative, and, you know, according to Grace, going above to Lucasfilm and creating that kind of a rift. A lot of people are saying it's figured out, but what does figured out exactly mean? I don't think Pedro's going anywhere, but if we don't see him outside of the helmet more in season 2, I'm going to go ahead and say he lost that battle. And he's probably just going to play ball because he doesn't have the chips that he thinks he has. But again, I have no idea what I'm talking about. I have zero sources. I have a below average IQ. I don't know what is what. And so don't even listen to me. What are you even doing watching this video still? But of course, I would love to know your thoughts about this entire situation. Please let us know your thoughts in the comment section below. And now let's shout out Renee Raymond. Yes, indeed, Jessica Drew was the Skrull Queen during Secret Invasion. And now let's ask another nerd card question before we get out of here. I want to know, what was the name of the puppet Mandalorian leader Darth Maul used when he actually ruled the planet? If you like this video, make sure you drop a like on it. If you're not subscribed to this channel, you are definitely going to want to change that. If you are enjoying the content over here, then you will absolutely love the live streams we do straight from Nerdvengers Tower, Monday through Friday, starting at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. As I always say, I hope you're having an awesome and a nerdy day, and I'll see you in the next video.